What do you think would warrant a change in direction from the BSP, and when do you see them returning to normal policy level here?
For now, Jess, at least we have favorable developments that would further help and taper inflation and reduce inflationary pressures with the lockdowns and the lower tariffs and increased volumes of pork imports. Now, maybe the wild card, the risk factor that we're anticipating now would be the external factors, because that's a problem. Well, inflation is a challenge for the world. We have seen the latest, market sentiment adversely affected by the rising inflation. So we have to look at this. This is a source of external supply side inflation that's beyond our country's reasonable control. And let's see if there would be some pass on costs. Of course, if this would be passed on eventually to consumers. But then again, we have to acknowledge the fact that purchasing power or the ability to pass on also this higher cost would be mitigated by the pandemic.
So
So
do you think this move by the BSP to actually lower their 2021 inflation forecast to 3.9% from 4.2% is warranted?
yes, yeah, that's very much warranted, Jess, because at least we have already seen the peak and at least as far as internal factors, the local factors are concerned, we have seen already the worst in inflation. It's starting to ease already and improve because of the improved supply conditions, as well as the of course the non-monetary measures, more importantly, that is being used.
Are we more or less settled for growth in the second quarter, given, of course, a low base effect from last year?
Initially, we were even estimating second quarter GDP growth for the Philippines at double-digit growth levels. But in view of the lockdowns, that would be tapered off to high single-digit levels. But nonetheless, it would still be close to double-digit, close to 10% year-on-year growth, and that would bring the full year
So more or less, you're
GDP.
expecting at around 8 to 9% for the second
Yeah,
quarter. Is that correct?
that's very much possible based on our latest calculations. Yes, 8 to 9%, and that would still bring the full year GDP average to around 5%. That is still very much possible. Definitely, the conditions are still fluid in terms of estimating GDP growth, in the sense that it would be a function of how these lockdowns would continue. But
Okay, so now
definitely,
that's interesting because now you have the DBCC. They're set to meet at least next week to revisit their 6.5 to 7.5% target. What for you should be the outcome of that meeting?
well, there's just a chance, Jess, of maybe trimming some of the GDP growth estimates, because those were set before the lockdowns. Because we need to note that the spike in cases were totally unexpected in March, and that resulted to the hard lockdowns, to the tighter quarantine restrictions in NCR Plus since the latter part of March. So yeah, that's reasonable to expect. We have seen also, but if you look at the consensus estimates by the multilateral agencies and the credit rating agencies for Philippine GDP growth, well, surprisingly, the consensus is still at least 6%. So that's still relatively decent. Well, maybe with the only exception of, I think ADB, the latest estimate is around 4.5%. But all else, all the others remained relatively high, or at least 6% for the next 3 years until
Now,
2023.